Most of the time I can barely tolerate her. Of course I didn't think you could get hit with a killing curse and live either, Remus added, grinning like a marauder. He walked over towards Harry, extended his hand to shake. Pleased to meet you. Harry forced a fake smile and shook Remus' hand. You're a barrel of laughs already. Remus nodded towards Ginny. I thought you looked a bit younger, though your counterpart here could easily still fit into her school robes. Remus brushed Sirius's feet off the couch and poured himself a drink, settling down in the cleared space on the couch. So, are we celebrating or mourning or both? As it turns out, Sirius happily explained, while Harry seemed a little put out at the lack of reaction from Remus. Harry here began working on the veil back in our dimension just a few months back. He's the one that triggered it to spit me out when it did. Really? Remus grinned, sipping his fire whiskey. And now you're here to clean up your litter? We've decided we're going to stay, Ginny announced gleefully. Harry saw Remus looked worried that he might be running out of couches and guest beds real soon, and explained, I still don't know exactly how I triggered it 2 months ago, but the exit changed significantly on our side. I find it hard to believe that it's merely coincidence Sirius got spit out on this side the same day. And you? Yes, well, Harry fidgeted a little. I've been working on the exit and had a little accident yesterday. You just got here yesterday? Remus inquired. Sirius was healing for several weeks. I couldn't have located this lunkhead sooner, but it was quite tiring crossing dimensions and then escaping from the unspeakables. You what? Sirius yelped, unaware his godson was a fugitive. Harry smirked. Not all of us are so helpless and willing to submit to memory charms and veritaserum. Wouldn't they know you're here and be looking for you? Remus asked curiously. Harry shrugged. I'm hoping not, but it's definitely possible. Another crack from the entryway indicated another arrival. Tonk's voice carried into the living room. Sirius? Yup, in here, Sirius called back. Pretend I just subtly inquired about a blonde Vila, like woman associated with Lucius Malfoy. Tonks yelled back, still out of view. The Department of Mysteries is in a right tizzy, because they think she came from the Vale yesterday. At Remus and Sirius, inquiring looks. A blonde woman, Sirius repeated. Yeah, Tonks called back. Apparently she took out 3 unspeakables, but did a crap job of memory charming them. Tonks walked into the living room just as she finished and stopped curiously. Tonks, Sirius waved at the stupidly grinning young man. I'd like you to meet my godson, Harry. Hi, Harry grinned at her. Bugger me, Tonks whispered, doing a double take at all the smiling faces. She only now noticed the ghost hovering behind Harry. Ginny. Hi, Tonks, Ginny said with a small wave. It's not this dimension's Ginny, Remus assured her. It's theirs. What the hell did you do, Harry? Sirius asked curiously. Come through the veil polyjuiced as a hooker? Harry shook his head and gave Tonks a long look. You're not going to arrest me, are you? Doubtful, considering the way those 2 boys are smiling, Tonks answered, pointing to the 2 marauders on the couch. Harry nodded. I only had about 45 seconds, so I did a pretty slick memory alteration, substituting my presence for a large-breasted blonde woman, and my questions about Sirius for questions about Malfoy. Vila, like my arse, Tonks grumbled. I followed it up with a clumsy brute force memory modification, Harry explained. I didn't have time to check what sort of alarms I'd triggered, and I figured that the mess of trying to clean out the second memory charms would further hide the first ones, especially since the first ones were only alterations leaving no blanks. You did that in 45 seconds, Harry nodded, pleased with the apparent success of his ploy. Hey, Sirius exclaimed, this is perfect. Tonks can be hunting you down the same way Kingsley hunted me. Tonks had heard about Sirius's escape and life on the run and was considering the idea. We can feed you whatever clues we want to make up, Sirius continued. Tonks agreed the idea had merit. Want to just be in public with you, she said, looking at Sirius under the guise of you being uniquely suited to spotting someone from your dimension. That doesn't sound very responsible, Remus commented with a frown. Oh, get off your high horse, Tonks scolded, pouring herself a drink. They are the same idiots who won't even let you get in a job in the wizarding world. Yeah, what do you do? Harry asked curiously, looking at Remus. You said muggles get worked up and angry at you, Remus saw Sirius was going to laugh and immediately defended himself. "They give me 3 days off every full moon, and it's easy work." Sirius was still snickering. "It pays for this place," Remus said, with a clear undertone reminding Sirius that he had no home or money in this dimension. Harry saw Tonks was rolling her eyes, seated across from Remus and Sirius. "What is it? Are you familiar with computers?" Remus asked, looking at Harry. "Vaguely," Harry said, having sat in front of one for about an hour at a Muggle library. "I'm a senior consultant in client relations for technical assistance," Remus explained. He saw Harry didn't follow that at all. "Tech support on the phone," Remus clarified. "Oh!" Harry caught on. "I had no idea you knew so much about computers." "Padfoot," Remus scolded, noticing Sirius was about to burst. "He doesn't," Sirius exclaimed mirthfully. "He doesn't know anything about computers." Harry watched Remus smother a very marauder-like smile. "I know about computers," Remus countered. "I just don't know anything about fixing them, per se. So what do you do?" "Tell people to reboot," Remus shrugged. "And if that doesn't work, they have to cover shipping costs to mail it back to us." "That's it," Sirius chuckled. "That's all he does." "No," Tonks jumped in. "He plays a lot of computer games, too." "Careful there, young lady," Remus warned with a smile. "I'm not above breaking out some very incriminating photos." Tonks knew exactly which ones he was talking about. "You wouldn't." "That's right." Sirius jumped in and looked over at Remus. "You mentioned something about a spanking." "I don't want to hear this," Harry interrupted while Ginny smiled next to him. "I kind of do. And you were trying to make me feel guilty about responsibility," Tonks grumbled. "There's no honor in the work I do," Remus said, looking at Tonks. "You took an oath and wanted a career where you could help people, where you could do the right thing. Your responsibility is whatever Dad." Tonks grumbled and stuck out her tongue. Harry wondered how close this dimension's Tonks and Remus were, because when Harry left, Tonks was still constantly wanting to be near Remus and holding his hand. These two seemed to have a much more blazed dynamic, and Harry wondered when the honeymoon had ended. "So, Tonks, how long have you been Auror, Tonks?" "Lupin here." Tonks was counting in her head. "I've been an Auror 14 years now." Harry shook his head. "I meant, how long have you had the Lupin tacked onto the end of your last name?" Tonks looked at Harry in confusion. "Since I was 8." Harry gasped and snapped his head over to look at Remus's proud smile in abject horror. Sirius saw Harry's pained face and explained, "Her parents and godparents were killed the same night we were, Halloween 1981. Guardianship then would have gone to me as the only relative her parents acknowledged. I left everything to Remus, so rather than risk her being sent to the Lestranges or Malfoy's Mooney here got custody legally through the Muggle system and raised her on his own." Tonks shrugged, seeing Harry look struck speechless. "I remember my real parents, but I liked calling Mooney my daddy and took his last name. Most people think Tonks is my first name, which suits me just fine. Sirius already told us that my parents lived in your world." "Why?" The ghostly Ginny was staring open-mouthed at Tonks and Remus, completely speechless, while Harry fell to the floor, unable to breathe. He was laughing so hard. Every moment Harry looked up to begin speaking, he would collapse again and slap his hand on the floor. "I don't think my parents dying is really all that funny," Tonks added, feeling a bit annoyed. "What's your problem, Harry?" Sirius asked. Seeing Harry was still no help, Sirius looked towards the ghost and asked Ginny. Ginny licked her ghostly lips and calmly explained, "Your name is Tonks. Lupin in our world, too." Sirius furrowed his brow. "What do you—" He quickly spun around to stare straight at Remus and sharply pointed an accusing finger. "You!" Harry was nearly unintelligible, but in between his racks of laughter he added, "I think you call him Daddy there, too." Remus looked just as confused before he realized exactly what the addition of his last name implied. He snarled angrily, "That filthy pedophile!" Tonks was horribly lost now and looked towards her father. "Who?" "Me," Remus exclaimed, poking himself in the chest. "What?" Tonks asked again, unable to even consider the cruel truth staring her right in the face. "What does that have to do with my name?" "You're my victim," Remus explained far louder than necessary. Harry was still snickering, but composed himself enough to add, "I believe the term we've been using is wife, but that works too." "Oh, God!" Tonks wheezed, turning green without using any metamorph mega skill. That's disgusting. I know, Remus said, struggling to even look his daughter in the eye. Sirius was clearly just as amused as Harry. When did this happen? Less than a year after your accidental pirouette, Harry answered. But they didn't get married until after Voldemort was gone. That's so wrong, Tonks mumbled fearfully. I mean, Mooney's my dad. Less than a year, Remus repeated with a pained face. That's practically cradle robbing. Don't I even know the age rule? I know you do, Sirius stated. You taught it to me when that third year grew those huge. Vera Helbig, Remus agreed. Same thing happened here. And you asked me about the rule, Sirius exclaimed, spinning around to point at the queasy-looking Tonks. Just a couple months before I left. Merlin, I thought you had the hots for Harry. That's why I encouraged special circumstances. Really? Harry inquired, waggling his eyebrows at Tonks. No offence, Harry, Sirius explained, but life expectancy for you was more often measured in weeks than years. Would someone care to explain this age rule to me? Ginny interjected curiously. Half your age, +7, Sirius and Remus said in unison, repeating the universally accepted measuring stick dividing healthy and unhealthy relationship. Remus continued, rounding up for good measure. Meaning, when I was 36? No, wait, 37, the youngest I should date is 25 or 26 if you round up. That's why Tonks at 23 should have been off limits. There are a few other reasons I should have been off limits, Dad, Tonks added with a shiver. I need a drink, Remus said, shaking his head. Me too, Sirius agreed, pouring large glasses for everyone. I need a memory charm, Tonks added, only half joking. Me too, Remus seconded. If it makes you feel any better, Harry said, waiting until the other three were taking drinks. Tonks was pregnant when I left. Sirius spurted up his fire whiskey in laughter, while Remus and Tonks both painfully swallowed the liquid in their mouths. Why would that make us feel better? Remus asked. Harry shrugged. Well, it made me feel a little better, to tell you. Tonks just rubbed her temples. You know, until that, I'd managed to convince myself our counterparts may never have. She stopped herself from saying anything more. Of course you have, Ginny helpfully added. Why, even before my death, Tonks was telling me all about the benefits of werewolf strength and how frisky he'd get the closer to the full moon it was. Hell, you guys even managed to synchronize your cycles. Sirius and Harry found themselves briefly as horrified as Tonks and Remus were, before catching each other's eyes and cracking up. Ginny, as the calmest one in the room, continued. Something about the wolf being able to smell. Stop! Remus yelled. Stop! For the love of Merlin, stop! All four people and a single ghost descended in silence, broken only by the occasional snicker or shudder. Harry realized this was the sort of cruel joke that was going to last a lifetime, and felt pity on the two Lupins for now. Moving forward, what's the plan for tonight? I don't know, Sirius said, as Tonks and Remus seemed to be a little shell-shocked still. Tonks! Any luck? What? Tonks asked. Any luck on locating us a lord? Oh, sorry, Tonks said. Actually, yeah. The head of the Zabini family is willing to hear from you, and as far as we know, they're not Death Eaters, right? They've almost always stayed neutral on the divisive issues, Tonks explained. Chris is the only one I know at all, and he's a nice enough bloke. Why are you looking for a lord like Zabini? Harry asked curiously. Trying to get the old house back, and maybe a couple galleons too, Sirius explained. And Zabini has the house keys. It's old family politics, Sirius explained. But basically, when the Sirius of this world died at the same time you did, you were his designated heir. And you, as a 1-year-old, hadn't designated anyone, so the Black family as a whole was headless. The Black family? Harry asked curiously. It's how a lot of the old pure-blood families operate, Sirius explained. There's a family vault, which in families as competitive and heartless as mine, doesn't usually have much money. It does have some family heirlooms, though, including the magical deed to the family manor. Grimmauld Place, Harry clarified. Sirius nodded. When the family's headless, the vault and manor seal up, and the family ring goes back inside the family vault. It's a bunch of outdated malarkey, but if I can get another lord to vouch that I'm the new Lord Black, the goblins can get me in the vault for the purposes of seeing if the ring will accept me. No sacrifices or bathing in blood. Harry grinned, before adding, "And you know Grimmauld Place isn't all that sealed up. It's where I crashed last night, dusty as hell, and creatures even further off his rocker in this dimension." "You've been there?" Sirius asked in surprise. Harry nodded, "though it looked like I was the first one in a long time." "I didn't think you'd have been able to even get near it without the Black family ring," Sirius said, seeing Tonks and Remus looked as clueless as him. Harry twisted a ring on his finger, making it visible. "This one!" Sirius's eyes widened. "Bloody hell, Harry! You're Lord Black. I think I would remembered something like that." "No," Tonks agreed. "You are, Harry," Sirius explained, rubbing his forehead. "If that ring didn't accept you as Lord Black, it could have killed you, or at least really hurt." Harry huffed. "That miserable little bastard creature gave it to me and told me it would make the wards I was trying to put out actually work." "Well, yes," Sirius agreed. "It would do that, but knowing Creature, I think he was hoping it would kill you." Harry agreed. "He went from smiling to frowning as soon as it flashed when I put it on." "So this is why I was able to get into Grimmauld Place." "Well, I guess we don't need Lord Zabini for anything," Sirius told Tonks. He turned to Harry. "And we're not homeless anymore." Harry smirked. "Oh, so now you're crashing on your lord's couch." "Couch!" Sirius grinned. "I've got seniority. The master bedroom is mine. Why don't we let the ring decide?" Harry offered, twisting it back into invisibility. "That's brilliant," Sirius agreed. "That's the ring from our dimension. This dimension's ring might still be in the vault." "Two Lord Blacks?" Remus asked. "Is that even possible? I got Harry involved, so we got a decent shot," Sirius explained. "Well, then you still need a Lord Zabini or someone to vouch for you," Tonks pointed out. "We got a Lord Black right here," Sirius said, pointing to Harry. "He can vouch for me, but he can probably open the vault just fine himself." "Lady Black," Ginny said, trying the name out. "It suits me." Harry sighed and thought back to a certain portrait. "Well, I always did think of Mrs. Black as a long-dead, insanely annoying harpy." Ginny scowled at Harry, punching her fist through him, giving him a literal cold shoulder. "Oh, good old Mum," Sirius recollected. "Thank Merlin she didn't love me the way a father loves his daughter." Complete dead silence followed as everyone stared at Sirius. He couldn't take it and cracked up. "This is going to be great,"